It's 12 o'clock now.
Sorry?
It's 12.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this employability webinar. My name is Amaka Akinteye. I know a lot of you already know me, and I have here with me too, Felicia Odumusu. Yeah, Felicia, just introduce yourself. Let's hear your voice.
Yes, welcome everyone to our Employability Skills webinar. It's good to have everyone here. My name is Felicia Odumusu. Amaka and I have come together to share our experiences, to encourage everyone on your job hunt journey and see how we can add value to both you and the employers. So you're welcome.
All right. Yes. So how to optimize your resume, apply for the right jobs, and ace your interview. So we're just starting now, and I hope everyone is ready for this session. And okay, so employability skills training. And so what we are going to be focusing on is optimizing your resume, applying for the right jobs, and acing your interviews. I know that a lot of things that we're going to say here today, you might have heard it one time or the other, but pick what you need to pick, because there is this effect of compounding. The more you learn and learn, it just improves your level of knowledge. So I would say keep an open mind, get your notepads, and write down as many things as you can jot down. We have time for questions. This session is going to be as interactive as we can make it to be. At a certain time, we expect people to join in, ask questions, and make comments, and we'll be asking questions too. So we are sure that we are all on the same page. What's the agenda for today? So we are all going to be looking at, number one is to be able to optimize your CV. How can you do that? How can you suitably, how can you sort out your suitability for a particular role? How do you know if you are suitable for a particular role? And what are employers looking out for? A lot of people apply for a job without knowing what the employer is looking for. We've had people who have applied for a job 10 times, just one job, you apply 10 times, 14 times, 15 times, and at the end of the day, the person is not taken because they don't have what the employer is looking for. So how do you know that? Then what are you supposed to do? What are the things you're supposed to put in place before any interview? What do you have to do during an interview? How do you answer questions? How do you respond to questions? How do you comport yourself? How do you position yourself? What are the things you're expected to say during an interview? And how do you ace your interview? How do you do well? How do you perform? How do you improve your performance? Just the same way we write exams, and we all perform differently. The same thing happens during interviews. We perform differently. So how do you ensure that you have a high score, high performance, or high assessment during an interview? And then after the interview, what do you do after the interview? You don't just stop after the interview. There are steps you need to take to follow up after the interview. Optimizing your resume. Now, before you start writing your, resume, your CV, a lot of people will ask what's the difference between resume and CV. Resume is quite shorter than the CV. CV has a chronological information of your work experience. So you have the work history, your qualifications, contact details, keywords. Now, contact details, a lot of people put contact numbers that are no longer working. How do you expect the recruiter or the employer to reach out to you? Some people put emails that are no longer functional, or they don't even use it. It's not their professional emails. And so those contact details are very, very important. Your qualification, you also have to be honest about it. We've seen a number of people who put the wrong qualification. They don't even, they're not honest about their qualification. Also work history. They are not honest about, their work history. So you have to be honest about it, not just putting it down there, but you have to say, the truth. Keywords. Make sure that the words that, maybe Felicia is going to deal more on this area, looking at keywords that you're supposed to have on your CV. So at a glance, when the recruiter or the employer looks at your CV, they pick out information, because sometimes employers and recruiters don't, read through word for word on your CV. They scan through it. They're looking for something. And then if you don't have those things in place, they will not be able to see. Use the right file type. Use Word document, or use PDF. Use PDF. So avoid images, charts, and other fancy graphics. Yes, you can have your picture, but don't let your picture take over the whole CV. Charts are not necessary. Fancy graphics are not necessary. Check spelling, grammar, font size, consistency. You send your CV to employer and then you have grammatical errors that are so obvious. They throw away your CV. Trust me, they throw it away and say this is not acceptable, because even when you have spelling checks on Word documents that can help you, you still don't use those things. Even if you use Google Docs, you have Grammarly, thanks to Grammarly, that are correct errors. You still don't make use of them and you send off your CV. It shows that the person is so unserious. So you need to take time and check your CV, make sure you don't have, grammatical errors, and size. Some people use capital letters. I keep on saying it, and I say it a lot of times. Using capital letters or caps it means a lot during communication, and then it means that you're shouting, especially when you're communicating with people. And then when you have font inconsistency, you use caps here in the middle, you use caps, and then you use lowercase. It shows inconsistency. Recruiters look at that, especially depending on the kind of job that you are applying for. Those things are important, paying attention to details. If you can't pay attention to details and then you're taking up a job that requires that skill, requires you, to deal with figures, requires you to deal with documents, and then your CV does not replicate that skill, you and I know that the employer is going to just throw away your CV. Keep important details of headers and footers. Because headers and footers, it's either it is dull, you don't really see it, especially for those who don't bold in it. And then the fact that it is assumed that what you have on headers and footers, your header is actually your name and those things. So the employer might not really look at it until they need those things. So at the first glance, put off all those information off those areas. You don't need it to be there. Stick to simple bullet points, not having thousands of bullet points, but not having chunks of text. Make it as simple as possible. You don't need to have paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs. The employer or recruiter is not going to read it. Make it as short as possible. 1-2 line sentence for a particular, achievement that you have made in your, because when you're writing about your work history, that's where you need those words, but make it as simple. My achievement is 100% sales, blah, 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 and then put it down there. The longevity of the role or position. Longevity is the time you have spent with each employer. Now, I would say it again, and because I remember last week when we were trying to employ a candidate, and the candidate had just spent 1 year each in 3 different places. So the question is, you seem not to be a successful person. That's what it shows. You just start a job and then you move off from that job. Something must be responsible. It's either you're not a loyal person. So it means that when you get on this job, you definitely, leave this employer without adding value. Let me tell you, you cannot say that you have added value to an employer just for 1 year. Some companies have 3 to 6 months probation. So as at that time, you're learning the organization, you're trying to fit into the culture, the routines of the organization. And then the next 6 months is to say, yes, I'm here now. I want to put in my best. And after that 6 months, you're off. You've not added value to the organization. You haven't. And so put yourself in the shoes of the employer and assume that role. If you hire someone, incurred cost, waiting, time spent, and everything, and in less than a year or 1 year, the person runs off, how would you feel about it? So that's one thing you should be looking at as an employee. If you stayed with an employer for 2-3 years, you would have added value, and you can give reasons for that, to say, I moved because I needed, career growth, even if the employer, you had issues. I mean, we're going to still deal with that area, how to answer questions during interview, things that employers are looking for and recruiters are looking for. We're looking for loyalty. We're looking for that trait, character, for that trait. Relevant, so optimizing your CV again, relevant and updated information. I mean, Alicia can agree with me. We had the role, a senior role, and then this particular candidate did not update their CV to the current, but she could say during the interview, but it didn't show. So the employer pushed out the CV. We had to call the employer back and say, no, this person is the best amongst the other candidates because of A, B, C, D. But the employer says, but we didn't see it on her CV. And that is it. So never leave out updated, relevant information. I've talked about professional email. Professional emails are emails you check on a regular basis, not the one you don't look at in a week or in a month or in 6 months. It must be the email you check every day. Most recent job must be at the top. Now, I'm beginning to wonder why some people now arrange it in a different format. I've seen some CVs and they put the most recent job at the bottom. And I'm like wondering, why are you starting from? What kind of arrangement is this? It has to be in order, starting from, this is where I am. If you're still there, you state. When you left, you state. You're no longer, to date, 2016, today, 2017, or no more. And then you write it down. Quantify and demonstrate results and achievement. Quantify it. You can either it's best to use relative value. I was able to increase sales by 60% in 6 months. I turned around the human resources department such that the staff, turnover reduced by 60%, 70% in a period of 1 year. And you have to be as realistic as possible. So I cut down cost for the organization to the tune of 500 million. You can use absolute terms because absolute terms rings a bell and say, okay, from 50 billion to 500 million, you have cut down costs. Be very specific in terms of, quantifying your achievement, because one thing about performance is that if performance cannot be measured, then it's no longer a performance. So all performance must be measured. So for an employer or recruiter to measure your achievement, we must be able to add a value. It could be monetary value to it or non-monetary value. So that's why I use percentage or rates of increase or decrease. Keywords must appear in your previous job title. Yes, very, very important. So those things that the employer is looking for. They are looking for a sales manager, they're looking for key accounts managers, they're looking for finance managers. Yeah, those finance must be there. Sales must be in, marketing, digital marketing must be, okay, digital strategist, digital attendant, digital executive, it must be there. Those are the keywords. Matching resume job, title to the vacancy or position, just like what I've just said. You must be able to match it. Whatever, so you can't be looking for the job of a medical doctor and then you're putting a finance head, you're putting something business manager or something that is totally different. I'm telling you, your CV will not be looked at all. Compare resume to job, description. Very, very important. very important. If you are not able to look at the job description and, you know, convince yourself that I can do it, then there is no point, you know, applying for that job. You should be able to look at the JD and, you know, from all the roles, who you're supposed to be reporting to, the location. I see some people down in Kano and they're applying for a job in Lagos, and the job description is saying, Lagos, how do you want to move? They're not going to call you because you're in a different, you know, location. You don't have the experience, or you, even when you have the experience and you don't look at the JD, you're not going to do well in the interview because you're going to be saying something totally different. So because during the interview, they need to know if you can do the job, how, you know, you can assess your suitability for a role. Learn about the company. Learn about the company. Now, I know some of you are asking the question that, okay, what if I'm not told the name of the company, but you are aware of the industry? If they have told you the industry, some recruiters, some employers, I mean, don't want to disclose their organization. Why? Because you would agree with me that some organization will inspire you or motivate you to apply just because of the organization. You're not applying because you feel you can do the job, but you're applying because you feel this company is a big company, they will pay well. So that's, you've already rationalized it, and that is why you're applying. And so some organizations don't want people to apply because of the name of the organization. They want people to apply because they can do the job, because they want to work, because they are willing and they are ready to work, not by the name. And that is why recruiters, we don't usually disclose. Or it could be that there is a restructuring in the organization and then they want to lay people off and replace. And so they want to manage change, because if they're managing change in an organization, they can't disclose to employees that they are leaving. I mean, we had 2 months back, we had an outplacement training for an organization that was trying to revamp the staffing, in the sense that they had older people. They had older people who were almost close to retirement and they were still working. So they had to gradually phase them out and then replace them with new ones. You know, as human beings, there's this entitlement mentality. Oh, they are laying me off after many years. But you have to go, because the same energy you put in place as somebody that is in the 50s or late 40s, it's not the same energy with someone in 20s and early 30s and late 30s and early 40s. So they need to replace. And that is why they don't disclose that. Exhibit commercial awareness. Sector and industry, that's just what I said. So if you're being employed in the IT industry, if it's a tech, if it's a experience solution company, if it's a healthcare, you should know about the industry, you should know about the competitors, you should know about maybe the market share, how it's done, and then the top 5 companies in that industry. Do you know what's going on in the world? You should know that. You should keep your ears to the ground. Be knowledgeable, because if you were to do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and it was for you to get a job, I believe you would have worked so hard, learned about everything before going for it. So same thing with the interview. So interview, I would liken it to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because you have you're sitting on a seat that, you know, your career is on the line. So you need to do well, and so you need to know a lot. Always write a cover letter and address it appropriately. Felicia knows that I am so hard when it comes to writing a cover letter. How would you woo an employer or a recruiter without introducing yourself? I see a lot of people send emails and they say, "Dear recruiter, attached is my CV." To make it worse, some people don't even say "Dear recruiter." They leave the email blank and they just attach their CV. So the question is, who are you talking to? Nobody's going to open your CV. So you need to write a cover letter, introduce yourself, say everything you need to know. It's like giving a pitch of yourself and then introducing. I mean, a lot of you know that when you meet a man or you meet someone, either man or woman, and you know, if you meet the person, you don't look at the person, you don't stare at the person, you don't just hand something over to the person. You have to introduce yourself. Hello, good afternoon, my name is ABCD, I'm here to do this and do that. That's exactly what it means to introduce yourself. It is an opportunity to find out more about you. So you just need to say things about you, but make it brief, simple, straight to the point. Showcase your achievements. Showcasing your achievements is not being proud. I mean, in the African context, they think that when when you say what you have done, you achieved it. So there's a difference between being arrogant and promoting yourself. So it's called promoting yourself, whether you say it verbally or you put it in writing. I mean, don't you feel good when you write about yourself and you say, I have achieved this? And the more you do it, the more you get used to it. Highlight your skills when you are introducing yourself. Communication skills. What are employers looking for? What employers are looking for? So we are looking at what employers are looking for. Employers are looking for a lot of things. And so it is a lot. And these are the skills people are being taught. You have to do this, you have to do that. You can see that number one. And this number one is the height of it. Employers are looking for communication skills. If you can't communicate, how can you convey your ideas? How can you, negotiate? How can you, persuade consumers or customers or clients to go along with your own brand? If you can't communicate, how can you, make contribute to conversations? How can you argue intelligently during meetings? How can you question strategies? If you don't communicate well, you must be able to communicate. Communication skill is key. And remember, communication skills is not just verbal, it's also non-verbal. Your body language, the way you move your face, the way you roll your eyes, the way you gesticulate, like I've just done, shows a passion, shows how much you want to put into it. The way you respond to your boss, the way you respond to questions via email, because you communicate, when you're writing, and we can actually read your body language during communication. So when you're sending professional emails, those things are very, very critical. We've had to employ people, and first day at work, they're sending emails to their bosses, and they would say, sometimes they don't even know salutation. That's a story for another day. Communication skills. No salutation, they just put the body and that's it. I mean, letter writing was taught in school. So all these things, we need to put them together. Interpersonal skills. You know what interpersonal skills is? Having, relationship, having good rapport with people, around us. Critical thinking skills, very, very important. Thinking critically, when you are, asking questions, and then when you are responding to things, you must think outside the box. You must analyze it. Problem solving, very, very important. I mean, a lot of people say they have problem solving skills, but when problems comes, they will just say, this is how to do this, how to do it. Okay, implement it, and they can't. Presentation skills. Be able to present your ideas in a logical manner, in a manner that everybody can understand, even those that are not educated, the layman can understand. Leadership skills, very key. I know that employers want people who have leadership skills, and we know that some employers do not have leadership skills. And that is why you as an employee, because I know somebody will be asking the question, oh, some employers don't have leadership skills and they expect me to have leadership skills. Yes. So when they see you exhibit the leadership skills, they can learn from you, because employers are employing you because they don't know it all. So if employers knew how to do everything, they wouldn't need employees, right? So they want you to come in, show them your own value. And that is why they say employees are supposed to add value to the organization. Numeracy skills is very, very important. Time management. Oh, goodness me. A lot of people don't know how to manage your time. You just ruffle everything together. That is a course on its own, how to manage time. I know myself and Felicia will have a lot to teach people. Teamwork. And then the new slogan in town is that teamwork makes the dream work. So if you are not a team player, you will have issues when it comes to tasks, delivering tasks, especially when you're not the only one on that job. Initiative and enterprise skills, commercial awareness, planning and organizing skills, very important. Self-management skill, be able to manage your emotions, even when you have issues at home, don't bring it to work. You know, when you're under pressure, be able to manage it. A lot of people say, I can manage pressure. But when the pressure comes, they are all over the place. Our emotions are all over the place. Technology skills, nobody now can, you know, be successful as an employee when if you don't have technology skills, digital skills. Those are very, very important. Organizers, planners, time managers, professional collaborators. We're looking for, employers are looking for professional collaborators. They are looking for partners, value partners. Now, not just employees, but value partners, individuals who constantly reinvent themselves, advance their education, and are lifelong learners. Excellent communicators, self-motivated individuals. You might not be able to do all this, but gradually you begin to learn, and it takes a conscious effort. Positive attitude, I love that. Warren Buffett says, if I want to hire people, there are 3 things I'm looking for. Number 1 is integrity, energy, skill. If I don't see integrity, I don't hire. I don't even bother hiring, and that's it. And leadership qualities. So these are the things employers are looking for, and many more. Now I want us to just play a game. And I want everyone to get involved. If you know the answer, just put it in the chat box. I want you to tell me how many ducks you can see on this particular screen. The first person is going to get a prize. The first person to get the answer right will definitely get the prize. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. Yeah, Felicia, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank
you, Amaka, for laying the foundation. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I said, thank you for laying the foundation, you know, for this webinar. That was excellently done. Perfect examples that can help everyone apply the situation. I'm seeing answers popping up. I see 13.
Yes, 12, 13, 15.
We're still waiting for the answer. Well,
we're actually for the right answer.
You'd agree with me. I would say we're not going to be saying one person is right or one person is wrong.
Yes.
Because this seems like a very controversial picture. You may see 2 in some places, you may see 1 in some places. It's all about having eye for details. What Temidayo is different from what Zubi sees, different from what Ayomide sees.
But at least we're going to give it to those that are very close to the answers, very close for one reason, which I know that the number of people might not see that, but yeah. So Felicia, let me know when the time comes.
Okay. For me, even if you see 1, at least you're looking and you're contributing. So this is teamwork that we're talking about. I've not seen, there's a particular figure I'm looking out for. It's not on the chat box yet. Should we let the cat out of the bag?
Yes.
So Amaka, just help us.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I've not seen the correct answer yet.
Not seen the correct answer, but I'm just going to move fast to the end and, you know, show everybody what the answer is. So is the answer. So what can we see now?
I'm sure a lot of answers will change.
Yes, and a lot of people will pause. A lot of people will pause and say, oh, why didn't I see it this way? So the answer is 16. Yes, so the answer is 16. Yes, Felicia, I wanted to say something.
I said the first time I saw this, I just practically said, these are 12 ducks. And then I began to, you know, analyze again. And I said, but they didn't say ducklings, because I can see ducklings there. They said ducks. That just made it become analysis paralysis, because I became confused. I didn't know what the answer was anymore. But, you know, looking through it, carefully analyzing without thinking too much, you can see 2 beaks in some pictures, you can see ducklings in some pictures, and that makes it clear for everybody. So I see 16 ducks from Olola Deshanu.
Yeah, she just posted it now.
That came after the second picture, or maybe she just joined the.
But if you know, Fashe Itopa, she said, or he, I don't know, 15. Okay. So that was why I felt that she was close to the point, because this particular one that has 2 beaks, this particular one, I'm just going, and this particular one is the one that, you know, I feel that a lot of people are going to have issues with, because
Guess
yes.
What? Somebody saw 17 ducks. Somebody saying what we're not saying. Yes.
Really? Okay,
yes,
can we unmute that person so that person could tell us why they are seeing 17?
Abayomi, please, you need to show us what we didn't see that you are seeing, because this is
okay.
Abayomi, I'm going to unmute you if you want to
tell us what we are seeing, we are not seeing.
Yes. Abayomi, I'm not sure he's there. He must be seeing something we're not seeing, and this is what teamwork is all about. Eye for details, collaboration, negotiation, because you want to prove to us that they're actually 17, not 16. They're negotiating. So, you know, put all those skills into play. I don't think Abayomi can hear us, and I've tried to unmute him. Nothing. So this is a wonderful exercise that would help everyone realize what. I didn't get to see the 2 beaks until I spoke with my daughter. I said, Mommy, it's not 12. You've got more than 12. And I started seeing 2 beaks. I never saw 2 beaks. I only saw the ducklings, and I was busy arguing that ducklings are not ducks. The way we reason.
Yes. Right.
So I think we can go ahead.
Okay, so Babatunde said, I saw 13 until you pointed out the other. Babayomi, I don't think he's here. Yes, 3 whole ducks. Okay. Somebody said 3 whole ducks. Okay. All right. So that's fine. So like Felicia said, we see things differently, and that is why we need teamwork. I see the things from a different perspective, the other person, but if we put our minds together and then, you know, absorb what each person is saying, it forms a whole lot of idea, and then we can move with it. Or if, you know, we just want to, you know, do things on our own, or less than, like she said, I also saw 12. I looked at it, I saw the, when she sent me, we got this answer, we saw 2 ducks. I'm like, but why should they be put into the, okay, I saw the next one. I'm like, I argued with it. I said, anyway, that's a different point of view. So thank you everyone for participating in this. Felicia would start the next round of the session.
Yes. Thank you so much, Amaka, and thank you everyone for participating in the quiz. I'll call it quiz. So I'm starting from where Amaka stopped, and I'll be taking you through what you do before the interview, what you do after the interview, how to follow up, and every other thing you need to know to ace your interview. So before the interview, what do? We always talk about research, and it's like it's been overflogged, it's been overused, but it can never be overused. Even if you're going for a meeting or you're going to do something the day after you've planned for something else, research is very important because it helps you to know what exactly you're planning. It helps you perform better. So we'll talk about 3 Ps before the interview, which is plan, practice, and prepare. How do you plan? You know where you're going to. And even if you don't know where you're going to, a day before the interview, I know a couple of candidates have done this before. They're going somewhere they have never been before. So the day before the interview, they take a trip to that location just to be sure they can find the place. And then the next day, it will be easy for you to leave home, even if it's 5 minutes before, because you know where you're going to and you're staying close. And even if you stay far from where your interview is, you know where you're going to. So it's easier. You're not going to start asking people for, do you know where number this is? I know how it is. A lot of people don't know where you're going to, but they just want to help out and they give you the wrong information. You end up going for the interview late. You don't need all that drama. And then practice, practice, practice. You have questions, you have the job descriptions, go over them, try and recite what you have read, not cramming, but just getting used to what the interview is going to look like, or what, just preempt whoever is going to be asking you questions and prepare. Dress well, get your clothes ironed, get your shoes in one place. You don't want to go for an interview with a rumpled shirt and you want to blame it on power. That when I woke up, there was no power, there was no electricity. That won't be an excuse, especially if you're meeting whoever it is interviewing you for the first time. Research on the company. It's an IT company. What do IT companies do? Research. If it's a bank, what do banks do? What part would you play if you're applying for a sales manager in a bank? What part should you play if you're applying for an IT manager role in an IT firm? So get ready. Research the position, research the role. If you don't have any clue about the role, find out from someone who has been on that role before. May not be in the same organization. Maybe someone who has been an IT manager before and you're looking to becoming an IT manager. You don't learn everything in one day, but if you find out from someone who's been a manager, yes, you can be pivoting into a new role. Ask someone who's been on that role before. Research your examples. So if you're going to be giving examples on what you've done in the past or something you haven't done, you want to tell them you can do, you should have done your research. And then research your questions. You want to ask reasonable questions. I don't want to use something derogatory. You want to ask questions that make sense, that are related to the position you're applying for. So research is important, and the 3 Ps should be taken note of. Then, to do better in an interview, you should know your strengths. I'm going to use myself as an example, and some other candidates I've interviewed. You're applying for a customer service role. You know you like talking to people. Those are your strengths for a customer service role. You like meeting new people. Those are your strengths for a customer service role. You love writing. Those are your strengths for a customer service role. Because, for example, if you're in a bank and you're a customer service person, you'll be writing a lot of times. You'll be helping people with their account numbers when they come. Well, now there's online banking, so you'll be doing little more, than writing. Know your weaknesses. A lot of people will be asked, what are your weaknesses? And they come to say, I don't have any weakness. I don't think that's true, because we all have weaknesses that we're working on. Being strong-willed for someone can turn into a weakness, because being strong-willed means you want to do what you want to do. So when you're giving instructions or the processes have been put in place, you find it difficult to change. But you can say, okay, that is a weakness, but I've learned to do this. And they'll ask you questions, how were you able to do that? You need to be able to give examples. Know your CV. You don't want to be interviewed and they've asked you, what was your last role 2 years ago or 3 years ago? And you can't remember the name of the company. You can't remember what you did on the job. It's not practical and it's not real. And I'll put here again, practice, 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 especially now that most interviews are done online. You can just sit in front of the mirror or hold your phone and record a message. If you notice that you're bending somehow or you're not communicating, your body language is wrong, you can correct it by doing several other videos so that you can get better at that particular area. Then be punctual. You don't want to go late for your interview. Be mindful of your body language, because you may be saying something and your body is telling the interviewer something else. You may say, yes, I understand, but what the interviewer is saying is, I'm afraid. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. So your body language should match your communication verbally. Then be mindful of your language. I hear a lot of people say, you guys called me. You don't use words like guys in an interview. Amaka is going to handle things you don't want to say in an interview, so let me not spoil that part for her. So make eye contact. You don't have to look and, not gaze away, but look and then gaze away and then look again. Just make sure you're making eye contact. So especially with digital interviews going on now, people can't see you physically, but they want to connect with you. So if you're in a room and you're in an interview, make sure the room is well lit, it's bright, and they can see your face. You don't want to be interviewing somebody in a room that is dark. You're not communicating, you can't even see the person. So there's no way you'll pick that person over someone who's calm and the room is well lit. Definitely you pick the person whose face you could see and who you could communicate with. So you need to stay calm and stay focused. Even if you're not sure of the answer, the way you're calm shows the interviewer that this person does not know, but he or she is making an attempt to do it or to make me understand that she can learn or she can explain herself. Then be mindful of the presentation style. Take your interview like it's a presentation, like your life depends on it. Yes, and I'm serious about that. Be mindful. If you want to talk and gesticulate with your hands, make sure it's slow, not too fast or not talking too fast. Because when you talk too fast, what you're saying comes as a rumble and nobody hears what you're saying. And the interviewer just ends up saying, I practically didn't get anything that person was talking about. So just slow down and focus. Turn off your mobile phone. I know you'd agree with me, even if you are in an interview or if you're in a meeting, as soon as your phone rings, it takes off the next thing you're about to say off your mind. It just destabilizes you because you're trying to say, who's calling me? Can't they see I'm in a meeting? So turn off your phone. To make it easy, you can turn the phone of your face, turn it the other way around. I just leave my phone in my bag if I'm going for a meeting. I turn it off. A missed call, you can follow up later with whoever has called you. So don't rush through your answers. I always make a conscious effort to talk, not talk slowly, but talk so that you're communicating. Sometimes when you talk slowly, it helps whoever is interviewing you understand that this person will speak to really understand what he or she is saying. Or this person will take time to do things, not being slow, but doing things, systematically and strategically. So give examples of time when you've taken the lead during a project or in a team. You need to give a lot of examples. So ask you, how many people report to you? You say 10 people. So tell me how you manage 10 people. It's something you do every day. So there are lots of examples you can give. Or I've had a time where someone was coming late every day. I didn't want to just give the person a query. I had to find out why the person was coming late. Maybe there was a strike or there was traffic or something like road construction. And what did you do to help the person? You told the person, okay, is it possible to work from home or is it possible to resume at a particular time? Give examples of how you've solved problems with late coming or even customer issues. Describe your personal qualities and attributes. One attribute I know employers like is commercial awareness. You know what's happening in the industry. Even if you're an accountant, you know what's happening in the IT sector. Even if you're an IT person, you know what's happening in the social media, you know what's happening in marketing, because you're informed, you're constantly reading, you're always reinventing yourself and developing yourself. Then how did you overcome a difficult situation? You're still solving problems. So it's one of the things employers are looking for. Any employer who is looking to hire is hiring because they want somebody to solve a problem for them. So the interview wants to understand the kind of person you are. What motivates you? How have you performed on the past role? What did you do to make a difference? Why should I hire you? Why are you the best person for this role? Why not Temidayo? Why not Ayomide? Why you? And then what are those personal attributes? I would say resilience is one of them. Resilience is just like patience. You don't give up easily. You do things and you want to ensure that it's done. And I'll be giving you 4 things you need to have if you're looking for a job. It's called REAL, REAL. I'll go onto that once I finish my slide. So you have to be real. And those acronyms that acronym has a lot to show. So I hope I remember after this to take you through that. So relax, ask the right questions. Relaxing has to do with calm down. Yes, you don't remember what you did or you don't really understand the question. Tell the interviewer to take you through it again. Then manage your time. You've been told you have 5 minutes to describe yourself and you go on and on and on for 10 minutes. Of course, they won't be rude. They won't want to stop you, but just be mindful of time and then ask the right questions. Questions around, oh, when can I resume is a very good question. It shows whoever is interviewing you that this person is ready to work with us. Show initiative. Show that you are creative, you can think on your toes, you can make things happen. Show that you are willing to learn. We always talk about willingness to work, the ability to work, and the reliability. Amaka, am I right?
Readiness.
Okay. Readiness. So show that you're willing to learn. Answer the questions correctly and go straight to the point. You've been asked, okay, last year you worked at this organization and then realized that 6 months after you moved. Just answer straight to the point. Oh, I had my maternity leave, or I went for my MBA, or I had to take care of a sick parent or take care of a sick child. That is a good enough reason to have left a job. We're all human and we understand all these things, but just be truthful about it. So to ace your interview, interviewers ask you competency-based questions that are related with your work experience and even things you do on a personal level. That's why I've put others there. So how competent are you? Can you lead people? Can you negotiate as a salesperson? Can you talk confidently to people? Can you present slides? Can you convince someone to buy your product? And then they're also strength-based. If you don't like meeting people, if you don't like talking to people, I don't think you should be doing sales, except it's online sales or telesales. And even at that, at a point in time, you'd have to meet physically with the client. So it should be strength-based, what you enjoy doing. From the way you talk, a recruiter or an interviewer can tell how passionate you are about it, or this person has really done this before. It's just instinct, and they can tell. So digital interviews are becoming more popular these days. Some interviewers tell you, just send your recorded message so that I can send to the client to know that you've done this before. Or they can't meet you at 10 o'clock anymore. Please send a video for them to view while we reschedule. And if you don't have the tips on how to get this done, you won't have any clue about how it's done. And then smile, enjoy the interview. Not smiling in a funny way of smiling too much, because when you smile too much, we want, what's funny? Are you serious about, this interview? And then treat it like it's a presentation. Like be serious about it. Test your device before the time. Before you go for the Zoom interview, test it. Let someone call you on Zoom. Ensure that you can hear them and they can hear you. Because sometimes we spend the first 10 minutes of a 15-minute interview saying, can you hear me? Can you see me? Turn on your volume, log out, log in again. And before you know what's happening, time is gone. And then the next candidate is available. And then you want to reschedule. There may not be another opportunity to prove yourself because other candidates would have come and they would have taken your place. So test your device, practice, practice, practice. This goes without saying. I will keep saying it. Use your notes, but don't read from them. We're all human. You may forget a list of 10 things you've done. Let your note be in front of you. Let them know that, oh, this person is really interested or this person is writing. But don't read from, because it's coming from your head, it's coming from your heart, and you're relaying your message the way you should. Stay in a quiet place where there are no distractions. We knew we had a webinar today. We've shut the door to the world because we need to focus and give the utmost attention that is necessary for us all. So follow up after the interview, not calling incessantly and calling every minute, but just call. And then that's why you should ask the right question. Before you leave the interview, ask, what time should I call you? When should I call you? Or should I reach out to you by phone or by email? And then when you contact for follow-up, thank them by email, ask for a feedback. How did I perform on the interview? What can I improve? Those are kind of questions you should ask. Not necessarily, yes, you want to know how much they're going to pay you, but you also need to ask very relevant questions. Create a list of the areas where you did well once you get that feedback. And when you write an exam, for me, when I write an exam, I know when I've passed and I know when I've failed. So when you go for an interview, you know when you do well and you know when you've done badly. But at least it's always good for feedback because every interview you do, the next one gets better. So create a list of the areas you need to improve upon as well. That will help you do better. And then Amaka will be taking you through what you must not say during an interview so that we can end this quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Felicia. I always like listening to you when you talk. I told you that earlier. Okay, so much information you've dished out. So what you must not say during an interview, I posted it on LinkedIn, and I promised that today I was going to share more information on that and then begin to ask questions. And I'm going to, I want people to participate. I will, give people opportunity to, talk. And then please just raise your hands if you know the answer. I want people to talk during this session. So the first question is, what position am I being interviewed for? So the interviewer asks you, what position are you being interviewed for? The interviewer is not supposed to ask you that question. Because we've seen a lot of candidates who would ask that question and say, what position am I being interviewed for? When you come into the interview session and you are asked, because I usually ask that question, please tell us why you are here. And some candidates will say, what position am I being interviewed for? Why would you ask that question? That question is not supposed to come in the first place. It's not supposed to come in the first place, because what it means is, I'm in oblivion. I actually don't know why I'm here. You are in the wrong place. It's just like going to a hotel and then you open, someone's door. You don't even know you're supposed to meet someone and you open the wrong door. So you are in the wrong place in the first place. And so whoever is there, whether the recruiter or the employer, they would say this person is not a serious-minded person. This person is not a serious-minded person. So before every interview, you must know which position. I know sometimes you would apply for a lot of roles. And so when you get to some interviews, because you didn't check, because an email was sent to you, and I believe that in the email must have been stated, this is the role you apply for. So you are interview. Even if it's not there, you have liberty to call or reply the email to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I've applied for a number of roles and I don't know which one this is. And I believe that the recruiter or the employer would definitely respond to that email. That is if it comes early, and you begin to search and look for if you can find the number, because when that email comes at the note, you must see the number or the name of the person who sent it to you. So you should be able to find out, not during the interview, finding out what role you're being interviewed for. I already mentioned that to you. Oh, that is the one that gets me, it gets me worked up and is so unprofessional and very rude and very arrogant of candidates who, when you are being asked questions and then the question is being repeated again and saying, okay, so can you tell me why you left your previous place of employment? The question could have been asked earlier on, and you say, I already mentioned that to you. So can someone tell me why it is rude or it is arrogant to say that? Why is it arrogant? I already mentioned that to you. So why is it arrogant? Is there
You can
anybody?
raise your hand and then raise your hand.
Yeah.
Will unmute you. Yeah, to talk.
Okay, Temidayo is raising her hands up. Temidayo is raised. I don't know if it's a he or a she. Okay, I saw the person was the first person. Okay, Temidayo is unmuted already.
Okay, it will not be nice for someone to say that. It's as if one is accusing the recruiter of not listening to him or wasting his or her time. Since I've mentioned it before, why would you have to ask that same question again?
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Ajele Femi is also raising up his or her hands. Okay, Ajele, you can speak now.
Good afternoon. I wanted to say that it's arrogant for a participant to say, I already mentioned that to you, in the sense that the person is trying to say that he or she is not interested in answering that again. That's probably why it is arrogant for you to say that.
True.
That's another one.
That's another one. Yes, that's another one. Thank you very much, Nifemi. Thank you. All right. So that's it. Arrogant, and then like Abayami said earlier on. Temidaya, sorry. It means that the interviewer was not listening. Even if the interviewer was not listening, it's not in your place to actually mention it to them. And so arrogant, so uncalled for, and so professional to say, I already mentioned that to you. Although some people say it in a different manner. Felicia, please, okay, good. Then some people say, to be honest, I am not going to lie. Please, can someone tell me why you must not say that during an interview? To be honest, I'm not going to lie. What does that mean? What does it denote? Anyone?
I think before, okay, someone has raised.
Ajela again is raising up her hands. Okay, and okay, Samantha. So let's hear Samantha too.
It might sound like that you might usually lie, so it might not come off right.
Good.
Okay. I've heard people say to be honest when they're about to lie.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so let's see if Femi has a different opinion too.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you,
Well, that's
Samantha.
exactly what I wanted to say as well. It's
Okay.
probably you saying I'm not going to lie means you are either been already lying from the onset or you are just about to lie. That's what I feel.
Yes.
True.
Thank you.
Very
True. True. So like Felicia already said that you're about to lie, you are a liar. So if the person is just a liar, and then person, you know what, I'm not going to lie. So it means that it could mean I'm not going to lie this time, this present time. I'm a big liar before today, but now I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to say the truth, even though I'm a liar. That's what it means. So, or even though I've been lying all this while, but right now I am being honest with you. I'm going to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. So it obviously means to an employer or recruiter, this person is not a trustworthy person. So never say that. Now, I'm also very skeptical about this. So if one is an individual who lies today, I know we all know that, but even if the person lies, this is not the only way we recruiters or employers would know if someone is lying. There are questions, Felicia, there are questions we ask, and then we want to follow up with that question, and we know that the person is lying. So even if the candidate say, honestly, I'm not going to lie, we know how to, hold them down and know that they are lying. I have never done that before. Please never say you have never done that before, because if you say you can't, then that means you're not supposed to be there. Employers, like the skills that we want, employers are looking for in employees is being able to do things, problem solving. So how can you say you haven't done something before and you say you have the ability to solve problems, critical thinking, and being a leader and things like that? So you must be positive. So positive thinking is also what employers want employees to do. You can't say you have not done that before. Felicia also mentioned during the session, you guys sent me an email. I've heard them people say that. Also, why are you here? Can you tell us why you're here? And then the candidate says, oh, you guys send me an email. I mean, you guys is a street in professional terms. So it's not a professional language, especially when you can say that to your colleagues or your friends, but not during an interview. You have to be as professional as possible. And so when you are asked questions like, why are you here? The person is for you to say, oh, I got an invite after applying for the role of a general manager. So we know that you are here. And then, yes, I think we're done with the questions. We have a video to show everyone. So I want everyone to listen. It's just going to be a 2-minute video. Then we will take all the questions and answers that we've got. We've got a whole lot of questions and answers that we would, handle them, and then we can take questions that are outside this particular session. So we have people who have sent in their questions, and we will take that after this video.
I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this talks about what is employability
for a company, not just in your first job, in your entire career.
I think it is everything that you are in a professional context.
Okay. Let me start it again. I think the network is
Okay.
The skills that you can offer a company, not just in your first job, but in your entire career.
I think it is everything that you are in a professional context, every way that you come across, call it your personal brand if you like.
Employability simply means how employable you are for a particular role.
It's really about, not necessarily about the specialist skills that an individual's got, but about how they would fit into the organisation.
Employers look for a number of things. Firstly, they're looking for bright, intelligent people. They've got a spark. They're looking for people who've got to question the way things have been done in the past and are quite prepared to think laterally about how things should be improved in the future.
We're always looking for people who can be going out and representing our organisation, because it's all about partnership building across different sectors. It could be business, it could be sport, leisure, the arts, and to carry the confidence of an organisation in meetings and setting up and brokering partnerships is really, really important.
In my experience, the people that I've seen go the furthest are the ones who communicate well. They're people who put their hand up and ask questions when they're not sure.
I'd say communication skills are the number one thing that you need to pay attention to.
When we bring graduates into our company, the most important thing for us is their attitude. If they come into us with the right attitude, we'll teach them all the skills they need to do the job. But they've got to have the right attitude to learn and to get on and to want to improve and to do the very best they can.
I would say the most important skills for graduates are communication skills, organisational skills, commercial awareness and interpersonal skills.
I think it's very important to be adaptable to change and recognise that the day-to-day aspects of your job may not necessarily be what is written on your job description.
Building up an online profile, I think is incredibly important and is an important part of your employability. Looking at things like LinkedIn, for example, which is one of the more important recruitment platforms.
From an employability perspective, what's important is to both invite and become open to feedback.
And remember, employers aren't looking for the finished article, they're looking for somebody who can demonstrate that they've got the potential, who they can grow and nurture within their organisation.
Yes. So, do we have any questions based on that video? Anything, what stood out to you? Just type it out in the chat box and let's see. And then we're going to be sharing the form. So yes, Tamaka, we're sharing a feedback form before we go on to the questions. You were all told to send in questions before now. So if you didn't have the chance or you didn't get the chance to do that before now, you can send it in the chat box, but we'll have some that came in, so we'll be taking them one after the other. So let me look at the first question. The question says, for a mid-career professional like me to switch career from marketing to business administration management, what are the key current skills I should build capacity in? I would say everything we've talked about, and then you should have attention to detail. That was why we did that quiz where we looked at docs in the picture and some saw 14, some saw 10. Just prove that you have attention to detail. Communication skills is very, very important. Your customer service skills, because every organization has customers and they expect all their employees to deal with customers with some sort of professionalism. And then the ability to delegate, which is one leadership skill you should have. When you have 10 people reporting to you, you should be able to manage them and delegate duties as required. There's also financial management, there's marketing, negotiation, ability to network. You're in a room and then you're just sitting on your own. For example, we've had questions and then people have raised their hands. That is one way of networking. I'm sure people remember Ajeli at the end of this webinar. So you need to, not that you're just showing off, but you need to be part of, a particular group. That's where teamwork comes in. Organization and planning, problem solving, project management, ability to sell. So whatever role you play, customer service, operations manager, accountant, you're selling your company's products and services. So all those skills are necessary. Technology is important and also time management is important. So number 2, Amaka.
Yes. Okay, so the second question is from a core science background, BSc and MSc in geosciences with ample experience in marketing, what certifications will I need to successfully transit to business management? You have 5 certifications, that you can actually take, but that doesn't mean you have to do all of them. You have certified associate in project management. Project management is key for you if you want to go into business management because it has to do with, operations, managing management is on top of the list, because you now understand all the work breakdown, the work structure, budgeting, cost, and people. You have the project sponsor, you have the project cost, you have the timeline, you have the project budget, and things like that. So project management is key. So, and then you also have certified business analysis professional. So this is where you have a breakdown of an analysis of the business in terms of strategy, in terms of how to grow a business, in terms of how to move a business from a particular level. When you understand the operations, you understand the supply chain of that business. Then also you have the certified supply chain professional. So we understand the supply chain from the upstream to the downstream part of the business, whether you're looking at the value chain. So this aspect is just looking at the value chain of a business, and that is the core business management part. The primary activities of a business, the secondary activities of a business, how can you generate value from those areas? That is business management, which is almost the same with the CAPM I discussed about, and then SAP, certified application associates. That it's just like using an ERP system to manage different aspects of the organization, the HR, technology, whether production, different activities of the business. You have an ERP. So this, having the knowledge of this can help you move, but you don't need to have all of them at once. You can pick one or two if you can, and I think you'll be fine. Another question is, would I still need to obtain an MSc in business management or MBA? Now, this question is a question that comes up every time, and my answer is yes, it's an added advantage, but it depends on your career path, your career goal, but it's not compulsory. There's a difference between MSc and MBA. MSc basically is a route to academics. So you want to go into academics, you want to have a stronghold in a particular discipline. And that's where you go for your master's. And so, but when you want to do MBA, that's a business, management. So management or, business administration. So that's where you have the MBA. And that is core leadership in business, core understanding of different areas of the business. And so that is the one that most people take during their career path. But what is the need of all the education and all the knowledge when you don't have work experience? So you need to, most times you have to be on the job while you're doing your MBA, and you also have to look at the cost implication. If you can pay for it, if you're not going to struggle with it, then I can say you go ahead. But I can tell you that a lot of people who just have a BSc and they have gotten to the nick of their career, I mean the top of the career, the highest level. So you need to understand what you're looking out for, and if you have the capacity to do that. Now the next question is, what do I need to do to get the right job? I know that this is the question that comes up every time. Number one is access your skills. You need to do a mind map of your skills. What can I do? What am I capable, of doing? What is the value I can bring on board any organization? You're a finance person. Can you do all the things that you're expected to do? You're a human resource person. Can you do all the things that you have the skill, you have the right skill? And then this comes with also as, going for interviews, looking at job description, you're able to understand what employers are looking for. Do your skills match the role you apply for? This is how to get the right job. So if your skills do not match what the employer is looking for, then that is not the right job. That's not the right job for you. You need to, like I said, you need to look at what the employer wants and then match it. If you're able to tick, and then you get to the point where you say, okay, yes, I am. I've heard, in interviewees that candidates during the interview, and then you ask them a question, why do you think you are the best candidate for this job? And they say, I've looked at the job description, and there is nothing on that job description that I cannot do. That is audacity of skill. That is a person that knows that I know what you are looking for and I have what you're looking for. Number three is what's your experience and your background? Yes, you might, you might have studied, that area, but you don't have the experience. You don't. So all the places you've worked in, the employer is looking for. The employer is looking for head of operations in healthcare sector, someone who had experience within the healthcare industry. And yes, you have been a business manager, but you have only worked in probably FMCG, industry. It's had nothing to do with, healthcare as it were. I know it's consumer goods, but then healthcare as it were. So that background is missing. Now you still have to match your experience with the right job. So the last one, as the fourth one, is be mindful of the company's culture. How will you add value? So it's two ways. So can you fit it into the organization as it were? Apart from you, when we're looking at the video, you heard where one of the speakers says that the right, culture, the candidates that can fit into the organization's, culture. We have different culture, and where you're coming from could be different from where you are going to, in terms of, the employer. So you have to be sure that this is the kind of organization you want to work in. I've asked candidates, what can you give me an idea of the kind of company you want to work with? And then they list it out and say A, B, C, D, and then this is what, and then they find out that they fit into, and sometimes when we send the names of the companies to them, they investigate, and some candidates come back to us and say, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot work for this company. I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that. Then you see some candidates say, oh, this is the company I want to work for because of A, B, C, D. So you need to fit into the culture of the organization.
Okay, the next question here says, how do I get exposure to topical job hunting and interview techniques? We'll be sharing the video of this webinar on YouTube, so you can, anytime you need to watch, you just go through the link. So sell what you can do is one advice I would give. What can you do? Sales manager, what have you done? Know what benefits and skills you bring to the table. Show up at the right places. How do you turn up online and offline? Do you have an online integrity? You've been called for an interview and then you show up like a scary person, hair uncombed, no, no shirt on or something. We've seen several, types of things that will even make you scared as an interviewer. You're online and then you're seeing something and wondering, oh, sorry, please turn off your video. Go and change into something different. So be positive. You'll be a more attractive candidate and co-worker if you are positive. Write down your goals. Always write down your goals. Where do you want to where do you want to be in the next 5 years or in the next 4 years? Employers ask this kind of questions to be sure if your plans are in line with our organizational goals. So if you apply for an HR and admin person and they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You tell them, in 5 years, I want to be the head of HR or the HR director. Just make sure it's not the HR director that is interviewing you because you're just telling him they're going to take his job in 5 years. And I'm just trying to be funny. But just make sure you let them know that you are in this for the long haul. And then let them know where you want to be in your career plan and then where you want to be as a leader, or just paint a picture, tell your story to let them properly understand where you see yourself, and then ask the right questions the right way. For example, they've asked you a question, oh, I don't understand what to do. Do you mean my long-term goal or my short-term goal? But sometimes once you are asked, what are your long-term goals or what are your goals? Just start from your short-term goals and build it up to your long-term goals. Ensure that your questions are brief, straight to the point.
Okay. Another question says, I want to learn about public speaking. So the response to that is practice, practice, practice. You can never get it wrong if you practice, all the time. I know a number of you will say, oh, you speak well, or Rome was not built in a day. So you stand in the mirror, you talk to yourself, just prepare a short note, and then you could do it as a video. You go back, look at the video, and say, oh, I didn't say this well, I didn't do this well, and then that's how you start. Learn to engage even when having conversations with yourself or a small group of people. You engage. you're engaged. At least you can listen to yourself, you can hear yourself speak. And at the end of the period, you can actually review, reflect, and say, okay, I could have done this better. I could have said it this way. I could have said it that way. Pay attention to your body language. Don't let your emotions fly all over the place. Doing, public speaking, for me, some people say is innate. It's a trait that you see in people, and it comes easy for some people, while some people it doesn't come easy for them. And then if it doesn't come easy to you, that's where you need to put a lot of practice. You need to learn and learn and learn. And then they say practice makes perfect. None of the great public speakers just jumped out one day and then they started speaking the way they are speaking, but they had to practice. Another thing is, be positive. Think positively and believe in yourself. It starts from you. I would say this legend, Michael Jackson, said, if you want to see a change, speak to the man in the mirror and let the change start from you. So you have to be positive. People will not take you seriously. People will not, if they see you don't believe in yourself, if they see you are not sure of what, sure of yourself, control your nerves. Learn to manage and cope with your nerves. I've been in an interview where we are just as as calm as possible, and we tell candidates this is just a chat, this is not an examination, so feel comfortable. And yet the candidate was sweating in a room, and I asked the question. I had to ask him, "Are you okay? And the candidate said, "I'm not okay. I'm nervous." Was all shaky. So as a public speaker, I know when you start first, there could be, some nerves showing up, but with time, you would learn how to, control your nerves. When I'm speaking to people, I'm in my own world. That's how I, control everything around me. I'm in my own world. All I see is, I see people sitting down, and I see myself speaking what I need to say. And so it's a different world for me. When I'm outside, when I'm off the whatever, I tend to be another person entirely. So you can curate your own world. Watch recordings of your speeches so you don't make the same mistake again. That's it. You learn from yourself, learn from a mistake. Listen to people who speak to, and then try to imitate. So imitating does not mean that you have to do what they are doing. So you pick the good habits and then you emulate those good habits, you practice it, and then you become, a good public speaker.
So we have another question here. How do I get leadership exposure? The first thing is taking advantage of networking. Opportunities like this. You're told to answer a question, you answer it. So now when next somebody needs that kind of solution or that kind of example, they could call on you and say, please, the way you answer that question, can you help me out with it? And then social gatherings, even though we have social distancing right now, we're moving out gradually. Ensure that you are going to the right places for the right reason. And then offer to take a lead, even if you have not taken a lead before. You can ask someone who has taken a lead in that particular role to put you through. We all have mentors that we don't deal with personally. It may be someone who does something in another country, and you may be following them on LinkedIn or following them on Facebook. Just follow them to do the right things. We're not just being on social media to post unnecessary things. You can actually see what people do right. You see someone who's done a training, attend the webinar, look at how the presentation was done, so that when it's time to do your own, you'll do it in a better way. Volunteer in leadership roles. Take on opportunities to lead other people, because as you continue to solve problems, when such problems arise in other places, you will be the first person to be called on. Somebody may say, oh, I saw Abayomi, he made a presentation last week and he did it so well. Why not contact him for this particular help? And then take professional development classes. Attend webinars. We have a lot of free webinars these days. Webinars, online classes, online courses, take advantage of them. There are so many leadership trainings you can go for. Invest in leadership training opportunities. I've been so exposed to a lot of international leadership, international trainings and courses. when I applied for my MBA, when I applied for some roles, and you can even begin to volunteer for some roles that are outside of your own community, and then start something new. Take risks. You've never led a team before, and you're called upon to lead a team. It's an opportunity for you to prove that you can do something new. And then another question says, I want to acquire knowledge and meet people and network. How do I go about this? First, you make yourself friendly. If you're not friendly, you won't have friends. If you show love, you get love. So you reap what you sow. If you want to network, you also need to network. Go out of your way. Call people up. Oh, I'm just calling you to check up on how you're doing. You're not calling everybody all the time because you're looking for work. Let them know that this person has called me today because it's actually checking up on me. When you meet people for the first time, what do you say? Even on LinkedIn, you haven't met someone before, and you're sending an email, please, I'm looking for a job, help me. You don't do things like that. It's good to do that, but make yourself friendly first. Oh, I went for a webinar you attended, and I'm looking to do something like that. Is there any way you can help? You'll be shocked at how fast the person you're contacting will come back to you. So ask others who you have established a relationship with to review your resume and give you feedback on how you can improve on it. Make sure you're constantly doing that. Make sure you're constantly updating your resume, updating your profile on LinkedIn, and then let other people, be the one to contact you sometimes for a role. Let the other person do the talking when you meet with them. Don't talk all the time. Because you're talking about networking, you want to listen to them. You want to get what they can do. You want to learn from them. How can you learn from them when you're the one talking all the time? So don't take up their time for too long. Pass your message across and let them know that you're not wasting their time. Leverage on social media positively. You have a meeting, like 10 meetings in a day. And now one thing I've discovered that I've worked on used to be a weakness, remembering things. Now I have a note. I write things down, thanks to Amaka. I write things down now so that I don't forget. And then I make my phone work for me. I set alarms. Sometimes my husband says, you have so many alarms. I said, yes, if not, I'm going to forget I have 20 interviews today and I'm doing something else. You know how it is when you pick up your phone or you pick up your laptop to do a particular task, and then a message comes in and you totally forget what you actually came to the laptop to do. So to network and do all this, you have to be very, very organized. Ensure that your online profile is up to date. Recruiters, hiring managers, employers check you out on social media platforms before they come to you. They check your achievements, they check your potential fitness for a role, they check out your skills and your experience. They want to know what you have done in the past. So those are the tips we're giving.
Thank you, Felicia.
So many questions. I hope you can take all the questions.
Okay, another question is, I want to increase my chances of getting job offers. Optimize your resume, be very creative. This is how you can increase your chances of getting a job offer. Include a professionally worded cover letter. I said it before during the course of our conversation earlier on. It opened doors to job opportunities, I can tell you. Include a professionally worded, cover letter. Talk about yourself, give a pitch, emphasize on your strengths and achievements, your accomplishment. Like I said, remember to measure it. Like I said, use, a percentage. That's what I mean by relative terms. Use relative terms or absolute terms. Measure your achievements. Research about the company. Apply for more than one job. Make sure you meet the requirements. You don't just, apply for one and give up. Looking for a job and getting the right job requires you to put a lot of effort. Don't give up when you have applied 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you say nobody is listening to you. Just keep on doing that. Keep on doing the right thing. Don't decide that, today I'm not going to send my cover letter. Today I'm not going to answer the questions very well. Getting a good job requires a lot. So try as much as possible, make up your mind and put in that effort. Follow up when you have finished your interview. You have waited for at least 3 weeks. But I also want you to exercise patience, because most times the employers, take time to review the process, and they have other things they are doing. So the interview process may drag, or the selection process may drag. Get on LinkedIn. Felicia had said that before. Leverage on your network. So build your network, leverage your need. Talk about your need for job. It will filter into the ears of someone who can actually help you out.
So there's another question here that says, I want to be enlightened on how to prepare myself for any interview and to understand better the approaches for taking on a new job and for taking on interviews. Just review the job description. That's the first step. And then consider the role you're being interviewed for. Check your qualifications. Research the company. Research the role. If it's a technology company, what do they do? Where are they located? Who was occupying that role before? There's no way you'll not find someone who knows someone who knows someone that you can get information from. And then we're always available. You can reach out to us. If you don't know the answer, we'll find someone who knows the answer so that you can get help. Conduct a research on answers to common interview questions. Because of time, we'll not be able to take you through that. We'll have like 10 questions that interviewers ask. So you need to be ready with your questions and how to answer questions during an interview. Practice your speaking voice and body language before the interview. You have a phone, you sit down, if you record the first one and then your mouth bends in some form of way, delete it, record it again. We've done that several times and it makes a lot of things better. And then another question says, I want to develop employability skills. Thank God we showed what employability skills are through that video. Good communication, motivation, take initiative, be creative, be a leader. Someone will ask, are leaders born, are leaders made? For me, it does not matter. A leader should be someone who's helping others, who's helping them influence their lives in a positive way. Be reliable, be dependable. If you're employed in an organization, can your MD depend on you to take that company to the next level? Are you ready to collaborate and to work with other people? Are you someone who comes into the room and everybody takes off? Are you someone who's always pointing, accusing fingers at other people? You're told to help with something and then you complain and you're nagging, even in an office. So be tolerant, be patient, have resilience, don't give up easily. Be adaptable, be very, very adaptable. So, okay. Another question.
Okay.
Yes, go on.
What is the best way to sell myself with my CV and at an interview? Good. I mean, first impression counts. First impression matters. When you look at your CV, what do you think it says about you? What do you think it says about you? Provide quality information on your CV. As already stated, we already said it before, information should be clear, should be concise, it should be straight to the point. Don't sell yourself short. So you must sell yourself, because when you are in the employer-employee relationship or candidate relationship is like, I always liken it to, and the employers are the buyers while the employees are the sellers. But in business, there's what we call the buyer's power. So when employers have high bargaining power, so when the employers have high bargaining power, you know that you are selling your product, you are selling value. The employers will say, this is how much I want to get the value, and that. So I think at this point, we still have a lot of questions, but we will have to wrap up. You know, at this point,
but I think we should take all the questions in the chat box, and then anyone who has a question, you can send your questions to employability@talentbureauonline.com. It'll be good to take these live questions, though some of the questions we've taken have addressed them. Someone is saying,
can you share that? Can you share it?
Yeah. Can I share what?
Can you share this?
Okay.
Okay.
No, we're going to be sending the video. It's going to be on YouTube. So, oh, I should share my slide.
Yes.
Okay, let me share my slide. It would be good to go through all the questions. Okay. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Okay. You should see it now. Okay. It says screen sharing stopped. Let me share it here. Okay. You should be seeing my screen now.
Okay.
Because I'm sure these are questions that are pertinent in the hearts of those who have sent them. And it would be good if we go through them. But we'll just rush through them. The first one is saying he went for an interview and he was asked if he had, that's from Fachi Itopa. He was asked if he had experience in, if he has worked in the beverage industry before. And he said no. That was it wrong to have said no? It wasn't wrong to have said no, but because you don't have experience and they know what they're looking for, they would need to move on to the next candidate. It wasn't wrong, you were truthful, but you may not have gotten that job because you don't have experience.
Okay.
So Amaka, you can go to the next question.
Okay. So the next question is, how do I improve on my CV? I'll share a sample CV and I'll share a sample CV right now so that we can all, have an idea of what our CV would look like, because CVs, working on CVs, necessarily I might not be able to just explain it. You really have to look at it yourself and say, okay, this is what I have to do to for my CV to be good enough. Okay, but before we get to that point, Felicia, can you take that other question? How do I transit from one career to another?
Okay, to transit from one career to another, the best way is first you volunteer. For example, you're in the bank or you're in sales and you want to transit into or pivot into marketing. You need to start learning. You may even be in the same organization. Work with people who are in marketing, work with people who are in the other area you're trying to transit into. Learn from them, and then you begin to take on jobs gradually for that role. But volunteer is usually the best way to transit from one particular career to the other. So to transit, you need to go back to school, like you get an MBA, which is possible to do online, and then get opportunities, work for free most of the time, and then take on new projects, take on the risks in your spare time, and then get a job where you learn all those skills. So it still boils down to career.
Okay.
So there's another question here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back to the ones on the slides. I was trying to extend this back. Mark, I couldn't do that.
I'm actually finding it difficult to share my screen.
Okay.
Yes, I'm finding it difficult to share my screen. So I don't know if you will share that sample CV so people can see.
Okay. Examples of good CVs.
Yes.
We have 2 samples.
Yeah.
Abaka, you can be going through the questions while I'm picking up the CV.
Good. So how do I transit from one career to the other? Felicia has answered that question. I would like to get tips on how to stand out from other candidates. How do you stand out? That's a very good question. And you need to set targets, companies you want to work with. We've had candidates who have turned down offer letters by employers. That means that candidate knows the employer they want to work with. They know the kind of company they want to work with. So for you to stand out, you must know the kind of company you want to work with that fits your own profile, fits your career goal. So it's easy for you to fit in. It's even easy for the employer to actually resonate with you. We've had times where candidates who don't really perform well, like we score them, and some of them might score, their score could be 65%, and when they attend an interview with the employer, the employer picks that candidate. So the question is, what went wrong? It's just because the employer was able to connect, or the employee or candidate was able to connect with the employer. Another thing you need to do is to choose your target companies carefully. Some employers cite overqualified as a reason not to take on applicants who are too skilled or experienced for the role. fearing that these employees will leave as soon as something better comes along. So because employers also sense the fact that employees want to use them as a stopgap, you know, looking at their CV, asking them questions, and, you know, putting the pieces together. It's just like a puzzle. And then they're able to say that, oh, this candidate is not going to do that. So you need to be able to stand out. You need to know that you are the right person for that organization. Be relevant. Be relevant. Like I said earlier on during our first session, we're in digital age. Don't say you cannot just, you know, handle, even if Instagram page, you have your personal Instagram, can you replicate it? What other skills do you have? Do you have IT skill? Just learn. You don't need to be a digital marketing person or digital marketing strategist, but at least know a little of things happening around you. Can you add value to the organizational culture? Companies are looking for culture add now, not culture fit. Remember in the video, one of the ladies mentioned they are looking for the right attitude to work. Skills will be added. Like I said, what Warren Buffett always says, number one is character. Every other thing is secondary. And character also has to do with attitude to work. Attitude to work is key. Technical skills can be learned because you went to school to study and learn. Remember that most times you have people who study geography or biomedical sciences, and they're working in banks. They become bank MDs, bank EDs. How did they get there? You begin to ask, what's the fit? It's because of the fact that it's not about you gaining those skills, you know, before joining the organization. It's the right attitude. And the lady said, we can teach them anything they want to learn, so long as they have the right attitude to work. And I'm also a proponent of that theory, that I am not looking for just people who have the skills and they lose out on the work principles that Felicia you know, mentioned initially. That's what we use. We're looking for willing, able, and ready people. Some people are willing, but they are not able to work, and that is where you don't have the ability. So the ability doesn't just only rely on your skill. It's the ability to, you know, be able to put in yourself and then add value. Now remain enthusiastic and stay focused. Don't give up. Don't give up. That's how to stand out. You keep pressing. You keep pressing. It's some candidates just feel that some interview processes are strenuous, and then it's too much and they just give up. But there are people who make it to the end of the process. Prepare for every interview you are invited for. Don't take anyone for granted. Don't take anyone for granted. You know, be smart. Felicia had mentioned it. Dress well, look good. Look good. I can tell you some employers are on the boards of, you know, different companies, and you could just see them in another interview and they'll be like, I think I know this person. I think I've seen this person before. And then they can tell that this is the attitude this person displayed in the other place. And that is why you need to be careful, you know, where you are, how you display yourself, you know, things you say, even on social media. Most employers go to your social media handle to read about you, especially when you are handling executive roles. They want to know the kind of things you engage yourself in, kind of conversations you engage yourself in. So you have to be as professional as possible. Not that you are trying to pretend or be a hypocrite. I mean, it's time for us to just change, you know, our mindset so that you present yourself, put yourself in the shoes of an employer. Would you like to employ someone who ridicules the government for whatever reason, whether they are not doing well? So they will feel the same person is going to ridicule the employers if the employers make mistakes. There's no system that is perfect. You know, people who post, you know, pornography on their social media, you wouldn't want to employ such. So it gives you a different image. So these are the things you have to be looking out for and be checking yourself to be sure that, oh, you don't fall in this category.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amaka, for that. So there's another question. It says, how do I grow my network? It's very straightforward. Get involved in the organization. Get involved in industry-specific associations. There's CIP and there's ICANN. there are engineering society, marketing society, banker society. There's so many associations you can join. Find a local brand that aligns with your career plan or your desired plan for the next 4 or 5 years. Attend all those meetings regularly. Make an effort to introduce yourself when you meet people. You know, my name is blah, blah, blah. I work here. This is what I do. This is what I've done. Not by making them just know what you do, but letting them understand that this is what you're doing and this is where you can add value in case they need someone for that role. Be sociable, be friendly, be approachable. Some people may want to come, you know, to talk to someone about that. They already see you frowning or you're looking like you don't want to talk to anyone. So be very sociable. When people approach you, be polite, be respectful. Let them know that you are available to be spoken to. So we'll just run through all these questions because we have like 10 more minutes. We're supposed to have finished at 1:30, but we don't want to leave all these questions unanswered. Is it right to apply for a single role in a multiple times? I think it's wrong to apply for multiple roles. If you apply for 2 roles that you fit into or 3 roles that you fit into, it's fine. We recently opened some emails and I actually saw a candidate who applied for a particular role 21 times. That means you're wasting your own time, you're wasting somebody's time. There's no way you would fit into, you know, that role if you're applying 21 times. And then someone said, I recently applied for a position and I received an interview invite for another position from the same company. How do I reply the invite because I still want that role? Just let them know. Thank you for contacting me. Actually, I applied for this role, but I'll be coming in for this interview. So when you get there, you now let them know what you applied for. And then you can begin to negotiate from there because you need to be sure. Maybe they say something else on your CV and you portray something else as what you can do. That question was from Ajeli. And then there's another question from Femi Atoyebi. What is the best answer in an interview for some of us going into employment again after working a few years as an entrepreneur? Let them know that you have to take a break and make sure it's true. Why did you go into entrepreneurship? Was it because you were looking for a role and you couldn't get into it? For me, I'll give myself as an example. I stopped working in the bank. I had to stay at home because I was having miscarriages. I had to have children. So I had to choose between paid employment and having children. And it was a sacrifice. So I stayed home and I finished having the children. I went back to work. I just couldn't get back into work because you've left the bank for 4 or 5 years. You can't get back in. You have to, you know, bring up your skills again. So what I did was I started thinking of other things I could do because I was not ready to go back into the bank. It was taking too much of my time. I was closing at 10. And now with the family, it was not possible. So I had to volunteer in an IT firm. I know I like selling. I like talking to people. I like meeting people. And I was able to work there for about 2 to 3 years. And then I found something else, which is recruitment. And that is how I was able to pivot. So for you, it may be a different story. I just gave that as an example. I don't know if I've answered your question. That question was from Femi Atoyebi. Amaka, do you want to take the next one? Hello? Am I the only one here?
No.
Okay, so I think Amaka is off. So the next question says, what do I need to do when applying for a role which may be lower than the previous role? I once applied for a job where the role was lower than the pay. And then even though I was willing to take a pay cut, the recruiter said on the basis of my former role and salary, do not be proceeding with me. Yes, it could happen that way when they have other candidates who are more suitable. But when there are no candidates that are suitable, you may be considered. So don't give up. Keep trying until you get through. So the next question, we'll have to wrap up. I can't seem to see Amaka anymore. You're muted. I can't hear you. Okay, thanks for setting up this forum. Okay, that was just a comment. Your questions, please. Do you offer career coaching services for those of us who need customized coaching? Yes, we do. How can I reinvent myself as a mid-level professional? Okay, Amaka, hold on, let me just unmute. So I'm trying to
Thank you.
Well, wondering what happened to you.
I was unmuted. So I know you could see me. You couldn't see me because of a lot of people have so many.
There's so many questions. So we're just rushing through the questions so we can wrap up. We've taken about 3 questions now.
Yes, I could hear that. I could hear that, but I can't see any of those questions because I went off and I came back.
Oh, okay. So how do I reinvent myself as a mid-level professional, 8 to 10 years experience, if I desire to switch career from my present field to a new one? I wish I knew what role you were in before, but you can reach out to us later. But I'll give you another example. If you are moving from sales to maybe digital marketing, because sales and marketing are different, or you're moving from IT into something else, you can actually change. You can maybe do your MBA, do some courses online, because we addressed that question initially. So just find out what your skills are, study a lot of roles that are being posted, and then see which one you would fit into. But reach out to us and we can guide you accordingly. And then someone asks, is it right to apply for a single role multiple times? It is wrong to apply for a single role multiple times. Someone just applied for 21 times for a particular position. You know, that is enough to just disqualify that candidate. What is the difference between marketing and sales? So marketing is creating an awareness for goods and services. So most marketers, they may not necessarily go out and sell to clients. They do most of their selling through digital marketing, through social media, just creating an awareness. But sales, when you actually go and you're making calls to let people know that you're selling this, when can you come for a meeting? When can you present to them? So, but some organizations combine the two because they have to do with meeting with clients. So that is a major difference between sales and marketing. So next question, what is a decent, sorry, Amaka, go on.
Yes, I wanted to you to read the chat so that I can pick it up from there.
Okay, so let me read the next one. What is a decent length for a resume if you're mid-level, if you're a mid-level professional? What's a decent length?
We always say that 2 pages is enough for a resume, not basically your CV. So you have to, distinguish between what a resume is and what a CV is. And so 2 pages is just enough for you to, except the employer or the recruiter wants you to explain more, on your CV. Felicia, what do you think?
Yes, that's right. So someone asked another question. Ololade says, I recently applied for an HR admin role and got invited for HR manager role. I applied for the role because, I replied to the invite, but there was no response given again. What can I do? Reply them again. If you can contact the HR manager, let them know. I'm sure they've seen your CV that you are more of an HR manager than an HR administrator. So it may be like a promotion for you. Try and reach out to them, find out what company it is. If you can't, reach out to us. We may know the organization, and these are the kind of services we offer because we want you to progress in your career. Amaka, should I read the next one?
Yes, please.
So, hi, Amaka and Felicia. Thank you for putting this together. It's been very insightful and I appreciate your efforts. However, can you share the slides for this webinar? We will share the video and it will be on LinkedIn. Anytime you need to reach, you can, because this is a free webinar and it's what we've shared for free.
Yep.
So thanks for this webinar, new and informative. Okay, another one. What is your advice on this, please? My current past job title is different from the advertised title, but the job descriptions are the same. How do I update my CV to match the recruiter's attention? Very simple. Let me give an example. I wish I knew what role it was, but let me give a practical example. You are currently a marketing manager and there's a role for sales manager. I want to apply for the sales manager because you're doing practically almost the same thing. So on your CV, just say marketing manager and then put very similar to sales and then let them see the job description. If not, try and reach out to who the recruiter is. Let them know what you've done in the past. Let them know what you can do. And I'm sure it will be. So apply again. Let them see another, like you have an updated resume to show them. And let that be on your cover letter. That's why there is need for a cover letter. Let it not be too long because you've already applied before. I applied earlier for this role, but I'm not being considered because of my job title. Because they are looking for keywords. And if those keywords are not there, you may not be contacted. And then someone is saying, can we have our contact? Amaka, please, you may please share your final slide so that they will see.
Can you see it now? Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it. The person said he wants to discuss offline, so you can reach out. Amaka, were you able to show the sample CVs?
Yes, I was. I can actually share it again now, just for everyone to see it. So I can share it again, and
we've got so much to share. This webinar, usually when we do it offline, it's a 4-hour webinar. We start at 10 and we finish at 2. But because it's online, we've rushed through a lot of things. So if you're interested, that's why we're having, Amaka, please share the feedback form too. The feedback form is there. If you're interested in having a more lengthy webinar, just fill the feedback form and we'll organize another one so that we have enough time to delve into all these questions and help you, pivot and help progress in your career.
So I hope you can, the CV, you can see it's 6 pages long, and it's just a sample CV. We can also help you with your CV, your LinkedIn profiling. We can do that for you, and then building, creating a new CV and a new face for your CV. So you can see your professional skills, and you can see the employment history has to be there. Key achievements, you must not miss that out. You can see for each role, you must have, stated your achievement. I know a lot of people just have assumptions. You must be sure, because you cannot support an achievement that was not yours. So you should be able to write what you know you have achieved. And then this person has a long history of work experience in different places, and in most of the job roles has spent 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, and then you can see the National Youth Service, professional accolades, or you can call it awards, and then educational background, professional trainings that are relevant to the job, and also leadership roles. And there you have your personal data, and then your reference, on request. And so hobbies are also important. Some people think hobbies are not important, but they are important. It helps the employer know what kind of person you are. And then age. There are some job roles that you're not supposed to. Employers are not supposed to discriminate on the basis of age, but you and I, you can agree with me that there are some roles that when you are in your 50s, you're already tired, or you are in your late 40s. So we need to see age, and sex is not relevant. So these are things, and we can help you with that too.
So thank you, everyone. We've sent our contact numbers in the chat box. The email address for this webinar is also there. And then the feedback form is there, so that your questions, you can send them to the feedback form. If you are interested in coaching, if you're interested in
training,
you want a longer training with more information, with more details, let us know. Someone is also asking for the CV format. Okay, we can share the CV format. Please put your email in the chat box, or send your email through employability@talentbureauonline.com, and we'll share the CV format with you. Because we've had cases where people come for interview. We actually interviewed and we're sure that the candidate is good, but the client is saying, from this CV, this person is up to no good. So instead of going through the stress of having to prove to a client that you are good, let your CV sell you. So reach out to us after now, and we'll send the CV template to you.
And we also promised the first 20 people that applied for, that registered for this webinar, that will give them a preference, and when it regards to some services that we offer, and then we would try as much as possible to reach out to them. I can see questions coming in again. We would have to go, and thank you everyone for coming this session. We would have to wrap it up here, else we'll keep going and going and going and going. Thank you. Please send us an email and then tell us what you want us to do. We can actually, as soon as this goes off, except we get back the chat, but send us an email and tell us what you want. Fill the feedback forms, and then we'll take it up from there.
Someone just asked a question. Amaka, let's quickly take this one. Now, how can they get the YouTube link? If you register for the webinar, we have your email address. We will share the YouTube link with you later on today. If you did not register, send an email to employability@talentbureauonline.com and we will definitely reach out to you. We have to go now. We don't want to keep people off work. And
thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for showing up.
Please in touch with your career.
Share your feedback on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Talk about Talent Bureau. If we have added value to you, share it. And if you have been one of our candidates, share the way we've attended to you this recruitment process, how excited you are, because we've all gotten positive feedback about our process. We brand ourselves differently. We take our candidates as our ambassadors, and we believe we give them feedback and constructive feedback that helps our candidates. So we want you to send a video of yourself talking about Talent Bureau and how we have been helpful to you. We'll really go a long way. Thank you, everyone, and bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Alicia, you can end the session now, or else people will not go.